Amara's hands tremble as she grips the edge of the polished conference table. The lawyer's words echo in her ears. Impossible, unbelievable. Her vision blurs with tears. 10 years, she whispers, then louder. 10 years. I gave up everything for her. My career, my relationships, my entire life. Her voice cracks. And she leaves me 100,000 naira, while cousins who never visited get millions? The room spins. 20 pairs of eyes stare at her, some pitying, others calculating. Her mother's will lies open on the table, a document that just shattered her world.
Fair African Tales. Subscribe and turn on the bell for new stories.
The alarm clock screams at 4:30 a.m. and Amara's eyes snap open in the darkness. Her body aches, her bones feel like they're grinding against each other, but she pushes herself up anyway. This is her routine now, has been for 10 years, 10 long, exhausting years. She shuffles down the narrow hallway of their modest Lagos home, her bare feet cold against the tile floor. The door to her mother's room creaks as she pushes it open. Mama lies there, frail and small beneath the faded blankets, her breathing shallow but steady. Amara approaches the bed, checks her mother's forehead for fever, adjusts the pillows behind her head. "Good morning, Mama," she whispers, even though her mother's eyes remain closed. Stroke took so much from her, left her paralyzed on the right side, barely able to speak, trapped inside a body that no longer obeys her commands. Amara begins the morning routine: sponge bath, fresh clothes, medication crushed and mixed with water, spooned carefully into her mother's mouth. Then she prepares breakfast, fufu and egusi soup, blended smooth so Mama can swallow it. Each spoonful takes patience. Sometimes Mama chokes, and Amara's heart stops until the coughing subsides. By the time she finishes, it's already 8 a.m. Her phone buzzes. Another message from her former employer, asking if she's ready to return to work yet. She deletes it without responding. That job is gone, like all the others. She's lost count now, how many positions she's abandoned, how many promises she's broken to bosses who couldn't understand why she kept missing shifts. The doorbell rings. Amara wipes her hands on her apron and hurries to answer. It's Mrs. Okafor from next door, bringing Akara and Pap. "How is she today?" Mrs. Okafor asks, her eyes full of pity. "Same as always," Amara replies, forcing a smile. "Thank you for the food." After Mrs. Okafor leaves, Amara sits beside her mother's bed, eating the akara slowly, savoring each bite. Her phone buzzes again. This time it's Chidi. Her heart clenches. Ex-boyfriend number 3, or is it 4? She's lost count of those too. "I miss you," his text reads. "Can we try again?" She remembers his ultimatum 2 years ago. "It's me or your mother, Amara. You have to choose." She chose Mama. She always chooses Mama. The weeks blur together. Amara becomes a ghost in her own life, existing only to serve, to care, to sacrifice. Her friends stop calling, her savings account empties, her youth slips away like sand through her fingers. But Mama needs her. And deep down, Amara believes that when this is all over, when Mama recovers or passes on, there will be something waiting for her. Recognition, reward, the house at least, maybe some savings Mama has tucked away. It's not why she does it, she tells herself, but the thought keeps her going during the darkest nights. 3 months later, Amara wakes to silence. The usual sounds of Mama's breathing are absent. She rushes to the bedroom, her heart pounding, and finds her mother's eyes open, staring at the ceiling, peaceful and still. "Mama," she whispers, already knowing. She touches her mother's hand. Cold. The scream that tears from Amara's throat is primal, a sound she didn't know she could make. She collapses beside the bed, clutching her mother's lifeless hand, sobbing until her throat is raw and her eyes are swollen shut. The neighbors come running. Mrs. Okafor holds her while she cries. Someone calls her uncle, her mother's younger brother. Within hours, the house fills with relatives, people she hasn't seen in years, people who never came to visit when Mama was alive. Uncle Festus takes charge, organizing the funeral, making arrangements. He pats Amara's shoulder awkwardly. "You were a good daughter," he says. "Your mother was blessed to have you." The funeral is beautiful. White lilies everywhere, Mama's favourite. The church overflows with people who claim they loved her. Amara sits in the front row, numb, disconnected from it all. She barely hears the pastor's words, barely notices the hymns being sung. After the burial, after the guests have eaten their fill of jollof rice and chicken, Uncle Festus approaches Amara in the kitchen. "We need to discuss your mother's estate," he says, his voice low. "Estate?" Amara blinks. "You mean the house?" "Among other things, your mother was more comfortable than you knew." "The will reading is scheduled for next week, my chambers, Tuesday at 2 p.m. Amara nods slowly. Uncle Festus is a lawyer, has his own practice in Victoria Island. Of course Mama would have asked him to handle her affairs. The next week drags by. Amara floats through the days, cleaning out Mama's room, washing her mother's clothes, unable to throw anything away. She finds herself talking to the empty house, expecting Mama to call out for her. Tuesday arrives. Amara dresses carefully in a black dress, pins her hair back. She takes a bus to Victoria Island, walks into the gleaming office building that houses her uncle's law firm. The receptionist directs her to a conference room on the 3rd floor. When she enters, she freezes. The room is packed. Uncle Festus sits at the head of a long table. Her cousins are there, Ngozi and Tunde, neither of whom visited Mama once in 10 years. Aunt Blessing, Mama's younger sister, who moved to Abuja 15 years ago and never looked back. Even distant cousins she barely recognizes, people she last saw at weddings and funerals. "Amara," Uncle Festus gestures to an empty chair. "Please, sit." She takes her seat, confusion mounting. Why are all these people here? Aunt Blessing smiles at her, but there's something sharp in it, something calculating. "How are you holding up, dear?" "I'm managing," Amara replies. Ngozi leans over, whispers loud enough for everyone to hear. "Mama always said you were her favourite. I'm sure she took care of you." The words should comfort her, but they don't. There's an edge to Ngozi's tone, a bitterness that makes Amara's stomach clench. Uncle Festus clears his throat, opens a leather folder. "Thank you all for coming. We're here to read the last will and testament of Mrs. Ada Ize Okonkwo, dated March 15th, 2024. March, just 6 months ago. Amara's mind races. Mama updated her will 6 months ago. Why didn't she say anything? Uncle Festus begins reading. Legal jargon fills the room, meaningless words that wash over Amara. She tries to focus, but her mind keeps wandering. She pictures Mama in that bed, helpless, dependent. All those years of care, surely Mama understood what she sacrificed. Then Uncle Festus reaches the distribution of assets, and Amara leans forward. "To my beloved sister, Blessing Okonkwo, I leave the sum of 500,000 naira." Aunt Blessing gasps, presses her hand to her chest. She was always so generous. "To my niece, Ngozi Okonkwo, I leave the sum of 500,000 naira." Ngozi squeals, bouncing in her seat like a child. Amara's confusion deepens. When did Mama have this kind of money? To my nephew, Tunde Okonkwo, I leave the sum of 500,000 naira. The list continues. Cousins she barely knew receive cash gifts, 200,000 here, 300,000 there. The numbers pile up, and Amara's head spins. Where did all this money come from? Then Uncle Festus pauses, takes a breath. To my daughter, Amara Okonkwo, who cared for me during my illness, I leave the sum of 100,000 naira and my personal effects. The room goes silent. Amara stares at her uncle, certain she misheard. What? Uncle Festus doesn't meet her eyes. That's what the will states. But the house? Amara's voice comes out strangled. Her savings? Her jewellery? The house and all remaining assets, Uncle Festus continues reading, his voice carefully neutral, including savings accounts, investment portfolios, and properties in Ikoyi and Lekki, I leave to Mr. Emmanuel Adebayo. The name means nothing to Amara. She looks around the room, searching for recognition on anyone's face. Who is Emmanuel Adebayo? Nobody answers, but she notices something, the way Aunt Blessing's smile widens, the way Ngozi and Tunda exchange knowing glances. They're not surprised, they knew. Who is he? Amara demands, her voice rising. She stands, her chair scraping against the floor. Who is Emmanuel Adebayo, and why does he get everything? Uncle Festus sets down the will. He's a businessman from Enugu. Your mother met him. I don't care where he's from. Amara's hands shake. I spent 10 years caring for her. 10 years. I gave up everything, my job, my relationships, my life. And she leaves me 100,000 naira while giving millions to cousins who never visited and a stranger I've never heard of. Tears stream down her face now, hot and angry. The room spins. She grips the edge of the table to steady herself. Aunt Blessing speaks up, her voice dripping with false sympathy. Amara, dear, you must understand. Your mother was very ill. Perhaps she wasn't thinking clearly toward the end. She was perfectly clear, Amara shoots back. She knew exactly what she was doing. She signed this will 6 months ago. Ngozi leans back in her chair, examining her nails. Maybe she felt you were doing it out of duty, not love. Maybe she wanted to reward those who loved her freely. Without obligation. The words hit like a slap. Amara staggers backward. How dare you? How dare you question my love for my mother? Ladies, please. Uncle Festus holds up his hands. There's more. Your mother left a letter. It's sealed, addressed to Amara. He slides an envelope across the table. Amara's name is written in her mother's shaky handwriting, the letters uneven but unmistakable. With trembling fingers, she tears it open, pulls out several pages of paper. The room watches in silence as she reads. Her face goes through a dozen emotions: shock, confusion, disbelief, more tears, and finally, something else. Something nobody can quite identify. When she finishes, she looks up at her uncle. Is this true? All of it? Uncle Festus nods slowly. Every word. Then I need to meet him. Emmanuel Adebayo. I need to meet him today. Uncle Festus hesitates. Amara, perhaps you should take time to process. Today, she repeats, her voice steel. Call him, tell him I'm coming. 2 hours later, Amara stands outside a restaurant in Ikoyi, her mother's letter clutched in her hand. The letter that explained everything. The letter that turned her entire world upside down. A man approaches, tall and distinguished, maybe 60 years old, with grey at his temples and kind eyes. Amara? He asks gently. She nods, unable to speak. I'm Emmanuel. Please let's sit. They take a table in the corner, away from other diners. Emmanuel orders tea neither of them touches. He studies her face, and she sees sadness there, deep and genuine. "You loved her?" Amara says finally. "Yes," Emmanuel replies simply. "For 40 years." The story spills out. Emmanuel and her mother met when they were young, fell desperately in love. But Mama's family disapproved. Emmanuel was Igbo, Mama was Yoruba. Back then, in their village, such things mattered more. Mama's father forbade the relationship, arranged her marriage to Amara's father instead. "She never forgot you," Amara whispers. "When your father passed, I wanted to come to her, but she said no. She had you, her daughter. She didn't want to complicate your life. But you stayed in touch." Emmanuel nods. "Letters, phone calls when we could. When she got sick, when your father's insurance money ran out and the medical bills piled up, I helped. Quietly. She never wanted you to know." Amara's mind reels. The money for Mama's medications, the physical therapy equipment, the special mattress to prevent bed sores. She thought it was from insurance, from Mama's savings. But it was him. All along, it was him. "The properties in Ikoyi and Lekki," Emmanuel continues, "I purchased them years ago and put them in her name. She insisted. Said if anything happened to me, she wanted security. I have no children, no family. She was my family." "And the will?" Emmanuel's face darkens. "Your mother was sharper than anyone knew, even bedridden. She heard things, noticed things. 6 months ago, your Aunt Blessing visited." Amara remembers. Aunt Blessing came once, stayed for 30 minutes, spent most of it on her phone. "Your mother couldn't speak well, but she could hear perfectly. Your aunt thought she was asleep. She was on the phone with Ngozi, discussing plans. They knew about the Ikoyi property, had discovered it somehow. They were planning to contest any will that didn't favor them, to claim your mother was incompetent, to drag you through courts for years." Horror washes over Amara. "They were going to take everything." "Everything," Emmanuel confirms. "So your mother, brilliant woman that she was, changed the will. She left them enough to seem generous, enough that contesting would cost more than they'd gain. She protected you the only way she could. By leaving me nothing." Emmanuel reaches into his jacket, pulls out another envelope. "She left you everything that matters. Open it." Inside, Amara finds documents. Property deeds, both in her name now. Bank statements showing accounts with her listed as beneficiary. Investment portfolios worth millions. And a letter, shorter this time, in Mama's handwriting. "My dearest Amara, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry for the deception. But I needed to protect you from vultures who would pick you apart in grief. Emmanuel holds nothing. Everything is yours, held in trust until this letter reached you. The public will was theatre, a way to satisfy the greedy and keep them away from you. I know you cared for me out of love, never obligation. I know you sacrificed everything. This is not payment. It could never be payment for the gift you gave me. This is security, freedom, a future. Live the life you postponed for me. Love someone who deserves you. Travel, laugh, be young again. You were my greatest blessing, my daughter, my friend. Don't mourn me long. I lived fully because you were with me. I died peacefully because I knew you'd be taken care of. Emmanuel will help you navigate everything. Trust him as I did. You are so loved, always. Mama." Amara can't breathe. Tears blur her vision. She reads the letter again, then a third time, unable to process the magnitude of what her mother did. "She outmaneuvered them all," she whispers. She was protecting her cub, Emmanuel says, his own eyes wet, like any good mother would. The family thinks you inherited everything. Let them think it. In a few months, when the gossip dies down, when they've spent their little gifts and moved on, then you can quietly take possession. No drama, no fighting, just peace. Amara looks at the man across from her, this stranger who loved her mother for 4 decades, who helped without seeking recognition, who is now helping her too. Why are you doing this? You could have kept it all. Emmanuel smiles sadly. Because I loved her. Because this was her final wish. Because you deserve it. He pauses. And because she made me promise, made me swear on everything holy that I'd make sure you understood why she did it, that I'd make sure you didn't hate her. Hate her? Amara's voice breaks. How could I ever hate her? They sit in silence for a long moment. Finally, Emmanuel speaks again. She had one more request. She wanted you to forgive them. The family. They're weak, not evil, greedy, not cruel. Your mother said carrying anger would poison the gift she was giving you. She wanted you free in every way. Amara thinks about Aunt Blessing's calculating smile, Ngozie's smug expression, the cousins who appeared only when there was something to gain. Forgiveness feels impossible, but then she remembers Mama's face, peaceful in death, the way she always said, "Bitterness is a burden you carry for people who don't deserve your energy." "I'll try," Amara says finally, "for her." Emmanuel nods. That's all she asked. He pushes a business card across the table. "My lawyer. Call him tomorrow. He'll begin the transfer process, quietly. Your mother set up a trust. Everything's been arranged. You'll also find she established a foundation in your name to help other caregivers. She wanted your sacrifice to mean something beyond just you and her. A foundation. Of course Mama would think of others, even in death. There's one more thing, Emmanuel says. He pulls out a small velvet box, places it in front of Amara. She wanted you to have this. Inside is a gold necklace, simple and elegant, with a pendant in the shape of a mother holding a child. On the back engraved words, "My strength, my heart, my daughter." Amara closes her hand around it, feeling the weight of it, the love imbued in every link of the chain. She wore this every day of her life after you were born, said it reminded her what she was living for. The tears come again, but they're different now, not angry or confused, just sad and grateful and overwhelmed by the depth of her mother's love, a love that planned and protected even from beyond the grave. They talk for another hour. Emmanuel shares stories of Mama before she was Mama, when she was young and vibrant and full of dreams. He tells Amara about her mother's plans, the schools she wanted to support, the causes she cared about. He shows her photos, images of a woman Amara never knew but recognizes in her own reflection. When they finally part, Emmanuel hugs her. "Your mother's last words to me were about you. She said, 'My daughter gave me 10 years. Give her a lifetime of joy in return.'" Amara walks home as the sun sets over Lagos. The city bustles around her, okadas weaving through traffic, vendors calling out their wares, music spilling from shops and homes. Life continues, indifferent to her transformation. She thinks about the house waiting for her, empty now, but not lonely. She thinks about the future spreading before her like an unwritten story. She thinks about Mama, always 2 steps ahead, always protecting, always loving. At home, she sits on the porch where she used to sit with her mother before the stroke, when Mama was still mobile, still verbal. They'd watch the sunset together, drink Zobo, talk about everything and nothing. Her phone buzzes. A message from Chidi. Heard about your mother. I'm sorry. If you ever want to talk. She smiles, deletes it. That chapter is closed. She's not the same woman he knew, not the exhausted, desperate girl clinging to any affection. She's someone new now, forged by sacrifice and revealed by love. Another message comes through, this one from Ngozi. We should talk about Mama's jewellery. Some of it was promised to me. Amara almost laughs. The vultures are circling already, sniffing around for more. She types a response. The will was clear. Everything personal is mine, including the jewellery. She pauses, then adds, but if you'd like to visit sometime, share memories of Mama, you're welcome. Family should stick together. It's more grace than Ngozi deserves, but it's what Mama would want. As darkness falls, Amara lights a candle, places it on the porch railing. She clasps the necklace around her neck, feeling the pendant rest against her heart. She pulls out her mother's final letter, reads it one more time by candlelight. Understanding settles over her like a warm blanket. Mama didn't just leave her money or property. She left her freedom. Freedom from obligation, from guilt, from the suffocating expectations of family who take but never give. She left her the permission to live. Thank you, Mama, Amara whispers to the night. For everything, for the years we had, for understanding my sacrifice, for protecting me one last time. The candle flickers but doesn't go out. In its steady flame, Amara sees her future. She'll finish school, the degree she abandoned. She'll travel, see the places she and Mama used to dream about. She'll date again, but this time as a whole person, not someone desperate for validation. She'll run the foundation, help other caregivers who sacrifice in silence. She'll live, fully, boldly, the way Mama wanted. The next morning, Amara wakes early, not to care for anyone but herself. She makes breakfast slowly, savouring the ritual. She calls Emmanuel's lawyer, begins the process of claiming her inheritance quietly, legally, protected by her mother's careful planning. Over the following weeks, the truth remains hidden. The family believes Emmanuel has everything. They complain among themselves but do nothing, knowing the cost of legal action would exceed their small bequests. They move on, as Mama predicted, their attention shifting to the next opportunity, the next potential gain. Amara lets them go. She forgives them, not because they deserve it, but because she deserves peace. 3 months after Mama's death, Amara stands in the offices of the Adao Isai Okonkwo Foundation for Caregivers. It's small, just 2 rooms in a modest building, but it's a start. She's hired a coordinator, established partnerships with hospitals, created support groups for people like her, the invisible army caring for sick loved ones. At the opening ceremony, she shares her story. Not all of it, the inheritance remains private, but enough. Enough to let others know they're not alone. Enough to honour Mama's memory in a way that matters. Emmanuel attends, standing in the back, beaming with pride. Afterwards he approaches her. Your mother would be so proud. I hope so, Amara says. I know so. He hands her another envelope. One last thing. She wrote you a letter for every major milestone. Your wedding day, the birth of your first child, your 40th birthday. She wanted to be there for you, even when she couldn't be. Amara clutches the envelope containing sealed letters for a future she can barely imagine. She thought of everything. She loved you more than anything in this world, Emmanuel says simply. And love that deep doesn't miss a thing. 6 months after Mama's death, Amara enrolls in university to complete her degree. She's older than her classmates, but she doesn't care. She studies development economics, wanting to understand how to maximize the foundation's impact. She makes new friends, people who know nothing of her past, who see her only as she is now, confident, purposeful, alive. She goes on dates, terrible ones at first, then gradually better. She learns to laugh again, to be silly, to enjoy moments without the weight of responsibility crushing her. 1 year after Mama's death, on the anniversary, Amara visits the grave. She brings white lilies, Mama's favourite, and sits on the grass, talking as if Mama can hear her. "I'm happy," she says. "Really happy. I didn't think I could be, not without you. But you gave me that, didn't you? One last gift." The wind rustles through the cemetery, warm and gentle. "I met someone. His name is Kofi. He's a doctor. He's kind and patient and he makes me laugh. I'm taking it slow, learning to trust again. You'd like him." She pauses, wipes her eyes. The foundation is growing. We've helped 50 families already, 50 caregivers who are at the end of their rope. We give them stipends, connect them with resources, provide counselling. "We're saving lives, Mama. Your love is saving lives." She places her hand on the gravestone, feeling the warmth of the sun-heated marble. "I forgave them. Aunt Blessing, Ngozi, all of them. It took time, but I did it. Not for them, for me, for you. You were right. Bitterness is too heavy to carry." As she stands to leave, she notices something tucked beneath a rock near the grave. A note. Her heart races as she unfolds it. Emmanuel's handwriting. "She knew you'd come today. She asked me to leave this. Open the safety deposit box at First Bank, Victoria Island. Box 237. Key is with my lawyer. Happy anniversary, dear heart. Love, Mama." Amara laughs and cries at the same time. Even now, even from beyond the grave, Mama is still taking care of her, still surprising her. At the bank, she opens the safety deposit box with shaking hands. Inside, she finds photo albums, pictures of her as a baby, as a child growing up, pictures she's never seen before. And at the bottom, a video drive with a note. "Watch this when you're ready to hear my voice again." That night, alone in her room, Amara plugs in the drive. The screen flickers to life, and there's Mama, recorded maybe a year before the stroke, healthy and vibrant, sitting in the garden. "Hello, my darling." Mama's voice fills the room, and Amara's breath catches. "If you're watching this, I'm gone, and I pray that you understand why I did what I did." Mama explains it all on the video, the same story Emmanuel told, but in her own words, with her own emotions. She talks about discovering the family's plot, about her fear that Amara would be destroyed by grief and greed combined. She talks about Emmanuel, about the love that sustained her through an unhappy marriage, the secret that kept her going. "I don't regret marrying your father," Mama says, looking directly into the camera, "because that marriage gave me you. And you, my darling girl, are the greatest gift of my life." She talks about watching Amara sacrifice everything, about the guilt she felt, about wanting to repay her somehow. "But then I realized," Mama says, "you weren't sacrificing for payment. You were loving me, purely, completely, the way I loved you from the moment you were born. And that kind of love doesn't need reward. It is the reward." Mama leans forward, her eyes intense. "So I'm not repaying you. I'm freeing you. Take this inheritance, this foundation, this future, and live. Live for both of us. Live the life I couldn't because of choices I made when I was young. Don't make my mistakes. Don't let others dictate your path. Follow your heart. Love boldly. Dream big." She pauses, smiles. And know every single day that you were the best thing I ever did. You were my purpose, my joy, my proudest achievement, not the money, not the property, not anything else. You, simply you. The video ends with Mama blowing a kiss to the camera. I love you, my precious daughter, forever and always. Now go be amazing. The screen goes black. Amara sits in the darkness, tears streaming down her face, but smiling too. Smiling because she understands now, completely. Mama's final gift wasn't money, it was permission. Permission to live without guilt, to be happy without apology, to move forward without looking back. She stands, walks to the window, looks out at Lagos glittering in the night. Somewhere out there, 50 families are sleeping easier because of Mama's foundation. Somewhere out there, Kofi is thinking about their next date. Somewhere out there, a future is waiting, bright and open and full of possibility. Amara touches the necklace at her throat, the mother and child forever intertwined. I'm going to be amazing, she whispers. Watch me. And she knows, somehow, that Mama is watching. Mama is always watching. In the foundation that bears her name, in the love Amara carries forward, in every choice she makes to live fully and love boldly. Mama's legacy isn't property or money, it's Amara herself, transformed by sacrifice and refined by love into something beautiful and strong. The next morning, Amara wakes with purpose. She has a meeting with potential donors for the foundation, then lunch with Kofi, then an evening class for her degree. Her life is full in a new way, not with obligation, but with intention. As she leaves the house, she pauses at the threshold, looks back at the space that witnessed so much pain and love and growth. Thank you for teaching me, she says softly. Thank you for showing me that the hardest journeys lead to the most beautiful destinations. She closes the door gently and steps into the sunshine, into her life, into the future Mama fought so hard to give her. This is what love does. It protects, it plans, it sacrifices in silence. It thinks 10 steps ahead and considers every angle. It gives not just for today, but for all the tomorrows to come. Mama's love didn't end with death. It transformed, expanded, became something eternal. And Amara, she carries it forward every single day, in every choice, every kindness, every moment of joy. She lives the legacy. She becomes the answer to her mother's prayers. She takes the gift of freedom and uses it to free others. 10 years of caregiving taught her sacrifice. One will reading taught her protection. And a lifetime ahead will teach her that love, true love, never really leaves us. It just changes form, becomes memory, becomes motivation, becomes the foundation upon which we build everything else. Amara's story doesn't end with an inheritance. It begins there. It begins with understanding that the greatest wealth isn't in bank accounts or property deeds. It's in the love that sees us through darkness, the sacrifice that teaches us strength, and the relationships that shape who we become. So tell me, what will you sacrifice for love? What legacy will you leave? And when the will is read, what will people discover about the depth of your care, the breadth of your planning, the heights of your devotion? Because in the end, we're all writing our own wills, every day, with every choice. We're deciding what we'll leave behind, who we'll protect, how we'll be remembered. Make it count. Make it matter. Make it a love story so powerful that it continues long after you're gone. That's what Mama did. That's what Amara learned. And that's what I'm asking you to consider today. What's your story? Share it in the comments. Subscribe to Fair African Tales for more stories that celebrate love, family, and the incredible strength of African women. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a story that might change how you see the world. Because every sacrifice matters. Every act of love creates ripples. And every ending is really just a beginning in disguise. Thank you for watching. Until next time, this is Fair African Tales.